Okay, so I want to clarify that in no way, shape, or form am I planning on having a video every single night. The only reason I'm recording this one is to have a more accurate representation of the time frame in which it takes me to get home, because I am literally leaving the parking lot from work right now. And I saw that last night's video was like 15 minutes, which is not at all what I said. But that's because I was mentally debating as to whether or not I wanted to attempt the experiment before I did it. So yeah, I don't even have anything to talk about right now. But that's normal. This is not like Leo's fucking insights into the universe. This is the random shit I do when I'm driving home. This light takes forever. And you know what's funny? You ever sit at a stoplight for like a long time and feel like there's like a cop just like waiting somewhere off in the wings to see if you try to like go through the light when you shouldn't? Which is probably not at all the case, but I always have that thought. That's the situation. So, Star Citizen. If I'm actually gonna start like posting these videos, I suppose I should actually explain the random shit that I'm actually into. So Star Citizen is a game, and actually now the light finally turned green, that I'm very much into, which is not surprising. How do I there's videos, there's like fucking videos and shit about it. It's an alpha, it's been an alpha for like 10 years at this point, or like 8 or 9. Some people don't believe it's real, some people believe it's real. It's currently playable, but playable in a severely limited state, that restricts, or doesn't necessarily restrict, but does not actually have all of the game loops that we're all waiting for. Blah, 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 blah. End of the day, the shit that I've been waiting for, which is the Origin 400i, there's a group called Star Citizen Leaks, SC Leaks, and end of last year, like literally fucking December or so, maybe slightly before, they released a leak, obviously, of a ship called the Origin 400i. So, Star Citizen is probably the most immersive game I've ever played. Now, my favorite game or game series of all time is Mass Effect. I consider the Mass Effect trilogy to be the greatest movie I've ever played. It's cinematic brilliance. But in regards to immersion, Star Citizen has to take the fucking cake. I mean, it's more than just a space sim. Number one, of course, there's construction. It's more than just a space sim. Like, it's not just like a normal space sim. But like, for instance, when you log in, right, you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. The Matrix 4 trilogy, fucking Matrix 4 teaser was amazing. But so you wake up and you have to click a button to like sit up. You have to get out of your bed. You have to exit out of the habitation room that you're in, or the hotel, depending on if you're in a planet. And holy shit, this guy's about to try to kill everybody. Calm the fuck down, homie. There's fucking construction going on. Where the fuck are you going? Anyway, I need to get over. Hi, are you gonna let me over? Grazie. What was I saying? You wake up in the hab, right? You open the door, like, and I say that because it's not like automatic. Like, you have to hold F, which brings up the interaction menu, and then you can click on buttons and shit. So you wake up in the bed, you get out of the bed, you open the door, go to the elevator, go down the elevator, assuming, let's say you're on Hurston, right? Which is one of the planets. So you wake up, you find the elevator, you go down the elevator, you fucking wander through the city until you get to the spaceport, and then when you get to the spaceport, then you find the terminal that lets you call whichever ship you're going to be flying. Then you go to the elevator that takes you to the hangar, then you get to the hangar, get to your ship, open your ship, get into your ship, close your ship. That step is actually pretty important, because if you don't, then somebody can actually get in there and shoot you in the face. And then steal your ship, which is, double trouble. And then you get to your ship, you're in the cockpit, turn your ship on, make sure all your systems are on, call air traffic control so that they can open the hangar so that you can actually fly it. Like, it's incredibly immersive, right? Each of the ships flies differently, has its own weight, has its own feel. There's nothing I've found, and I've played quite a lot of games, that is as immersive as Star Citizen is. And it's this scale. So I'm a trader, which is new, because I don't tend to trade in games. Like, I tend to be PvE. I've rarely been much of a PvP player, aside from a healer in PvP. That's fun, but I'm mostly a PvE guy. So even in previous Space Sims, in Space Games, Eve, I want to say Earth Above and Beyond, but I think that was actually a show. There was like an old game, fucking, like one of the first MMOs. What is this space game? It died. I don't remember. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. So, in Star Citizen, it's more than just being ships. There's manufacturers. So there's like Robert Space Industries, there's Crusader Industries, Origin. Like, there's multiple manufacturers, and each of these manufacturers tend to have multiple ships, and each ship is in that manufacturer's style. Meaning that same thing as like a BMW to Mercedes-Benz, BMW to Mercedes-Benz to Ford to Nissan. Like, each of the manufacturers has their own stable of vehicles, and each of the vehicles has its own style. So the Origin 400i is an Origin ship. And it's the one, so end of last year, around December, I'd be yawning a lot, probably because it's 1 a.m. There was a leak from SC Leaks about an Origin 400i, so I love Origin. It's the high-end brand. Very clean. I need to get over. Very clean style, and I just like it, right? Like, and that's important because each manufacturer has its own style, which has an impact on your play style. Like, I'm a trader, as I said earlier, and one of the only major trade ships that was out in Star Citizen was the Caterpillar, which is a Drake ship. So if Origin is your highest of high end, like the Rolls Royce of spaceships, basically, Drake is a bucket. Like, it's not in any way, shape, or form designed to be a high end ship. Any of them. And I say that because when I was flying the Caterpillar for a long time, it actually sort of, because it's so immersive, at least to me, it actually started to like impact my enjoyment of the game, because I don't like Drake. I don't like the style, I don't like the ambiance, I don't like the feel of it. Now, the exterior of Drake ships are fucking amazing, but the interior is very much that sort of dingy, dark gray, dirty. Like, I don't like it. So Origin, so they released a leak talking about how 3.12, I think, or 3.11, something forever ago, the 400i was going to be a straight to flyable ship, and that didn't happen. So December came and went, and there was no 400i. There was just like the leaked images of it. Now, my two main preferences in Star Citizen are Origin and Crusader. Because Crusader, everybody says that Origin is like the BMW of Star Citizen. I don't really feel that way. I feel that Origin is like the Rolls Royce of Star Citizen, and Crusader is like the BMW of Star Citizen. Like, it's high-end feel, but not as high-end as Origin, and more designed toward work. I don't want to say working class, but it's definitely a far more like let's get shit done style than Origin, but still very high-end in its presentation. And that's apparently what I gravitated towards in Star Citizen. So Origin's line has a couple different ships, but the one of it used to be the smallest, or it used to be one of the smallest. Well, it still is one of the smallest. It's the 300i size. So they released a 100i since then, which is still not the smallest. They have like an 85X, which is like not a full-on ship, but is hard to explain. But their main ships, they call it mainline ships, right? Mainline ships would be the 100i, the 300i, the 600i, and the 890J. Now, you have... I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. You would think, right, so normal games, you always want the biggest, baddest, bestest ship, right? Whatever. Give me the biggest ship, the biggest guns, and I'll fucking wreck everyone, right? That's the normal experience when you're playing games like this. You know, I think even Eve was that way. Like, I was in Eve, I was working towards a command battleship because I really liked the Slepner. But I had like, a command battle cruiser. My apologies. But I had like 2 battleships, and it made no real difference. Like, you fucking get the biggest, baddest, bestest ship you can. They're the biggest, baddest, bestest guns on it, and now you're the biggest, baddest, bestest, badass motherfucker out there. Like, that's how it works in games, right? Any game. You want the biggest armor, you want the biggest sword, the biggest gun. That is not the case in Star Citizen, because larger ships are not solo pilotable, I think that's right. So there's a video by I want to say Morphology. I think it's Morph. It might not be Morph, but if you look it up, it's on YouTube. Look up "An Architect Reviews the 890J." It is one of the most gorgeous fucking things you can find in any video game ever. It's a ship, obviously. It's Origin's huge luxury liner hotel grade ship. It costs about $1,000 if you want to buy it in real world cash. It's gorgeous, but I bring that up because there are big ships in Star Citizen, but these are not solo ships. You can pilot it, but you won't be able to fire the guns because you need somebody else in the gunner seat. You need somebody else to manage the shields. You need, like, some of these ships have hangars in which you can fly other ships into and out of. Obviously, you're not going to be piloting those ships if you're piloting the main one. Now, theoretically, you could multi-box it, but given the intricacy of combat and flying, I'm not entirely certain as to how viable that would be in Star Citizen. Like, if you're just trading, sure, right? I got a laptop. If all I need to do is fucking pop up a secondary account, sure, that's fine. Not that you can trade right now, but like combat-wise, questionable. But so yeah, there's an upper limit on what is a viable ship to fly by yourself. So when I say there's a 100i, a 300i, 600i, and an 890J, the 890J is not a solo ship. One, it's not a combat ship. It's a giant luxury liner. The 600i is where the question is, because so RSI, Robert Space Industries, has their main, I want to say mid-size, but it's technically a large, but sort of their, how do I say this? So there are multiple ships per size, or per size class, but there's typically like one ship that we all sort of think of as the definition of that ship size. So you got your fighters, which are your small fighters, which, whatever, Gladius, not the Eagle, not the Talon, no, that's fucking up there now. Like your light fighters, Gladius, and there's another one whose name I can't remember right now. It's gonna bug the shit out of me. Not the Saber, not the Hawk, not the 125, not the Blade, shit. I know I should just let the point go, but now I'm really annoyed. Not the Scimitar, not the Gladiator, whatever. So you have your light fighters, but and those are cockpit ships. Like it's like a jet, right? It's a super fucking science fiction super jet. What I mean by that is you just get in your cockpit and you fly around and you shoot people. Fine, whatever. But the sort of next step up is your ships with interiors, basically. Like what I was saying earlier, where you wake up and you get into your ship. Like these have an interior. They have a bed so that you can literally log out anywhere in the verse, instead of having to find somewhere to log out. They can have cargo, so you can start doing cargo and things like that. Like they have interiors. They may have a toilet or a shoilet. Those have not been fully implemented as of yet, but we have been told that in the future, if you don't at least somewhat regularly take care of your hygiene, NPCs will not like talking to you. So I find that amusing. But that's sort of your next level of ship, are the ships that have, interiors that let you actually do things and sort of be self-sufficient in the verse. And that's the one of the biggest, not the biggest, but like the defining ship of that size class is going to be your Avenger Titan, as well, the 300i. The 300i, there you go. The Avenger Titan and 300i. That's like your entry-level, all-purpose ship. Your next step up is going to be your Freelancer and Drake. There it is. Cutlass. I think it's, Cutlass. And that's sort of, and then the step after that is the RSI Constellation. And there's not really, well, there is now. The MSR is basically that class. And then above that is like the 600i, and then above that, each of these would be size classes, would be the ship that I don't actually like that everyone else loves. I don't remember the name of it right now. But what I mean is, so the 300i is 100%, it's a solo ship. That ship is designed for solo pilots, right? I don't even think it has a turret. So it's 100% for a solo pilot. It's not big, it's small, it's got a small quantum drive, like it's not designed for huge amounts of space exploration and all that stuff, but it's 100% a solo pilotable ship. It's like one of the smallest ones, along with the Titan that's designed for a solo pilot. The Cutlass and the Freelancer would be your introduction to multi-person ships. So they are 100% fine with being being flown by a solo pilot, but they typically have multiple beds so that multiple people can log out. They have a turret so that while you are the pilot and you control the main guns, there's a secondary gun or a tertiary gun that somebody else can jump into and use to shoot. Like it's the smallest version of a multi-person ship. The next step up is the Constellation size class, which is sort of the maximum size that's truly comfortable being both solo and multi-purpose. So for instance, the Constellation, the pilot gets 4 main guns, but there's 2 turrets for 2 other people to pop into. Same with the MSR, which is roughly that same, which is in that same size class, and I own the MSR. Now that's not as combat focused as the Constellation, but I have access to 2 S3 turrets, 2 S3 guns, and then there's 2 separate turrets of 2 S3 guns as well. So basically, you can be flown by 3 people, actually 4 if you want to have like an engineer running back and forth. Now the 600i, which would be the size class above the Constellation and MSR, is a bit of an oddity. There's nothing really else. Well, no, that's not true, because now my C2 is now that size, and that's solo pilotable. But the C2 is a hauler, so it's a different not genre, different class or different purpose altogether. The 600i is soloable, but it's definitely pushing it. Like really for comfort. The 600i is basically designed to compete against the Constellation, but it's literally like a whole size class above the Constellation. So it's always been in a really weird spot. But the thing is, I love Origin, and that fucking Cutlass Freelancer size is the perfect size for like, it's just a comfortable size. Like the 300i is like too small. That whole ship line is just too small for me personally. But for Origin, who's my favorite manufacturer, they jumped from 300i all the way up to the 600i, which is like 3 size classes above. And that ship's just too big, even though it's comfortable to fly solo, and people can solo with it because the guns are pilot fireable, because it's kind of against the Constellation. It's a giant ship that's like super empty if you're flying it by yourself. So I always hated the fact that there was nothing else. Like you could either get something that was too small or something that was too big. So December of last year, they had a teaser or a leak of the 400i, which is basically exactly what I've been wanting, which is that ship that's in the middle. So it's designed from the leaks, so it hasn't been officially announced yet, but from the leaks, it's designed to be the Origin competitor to the Cutlass and the Freelancer, which is exactly that sweet spot. But size-wise, it's actually closer to the Constellation, so it does that weird 600i oversized thing. So it's a solid size while being realistically multi-purpose. So I'm currently at home, but I'm going to finish my thought because otherwise it will drive you mad. But yeah, so basically we've been getting, we had the leaks and then fucking nothing. It has never been officially announced, even though if you were following the monthly reports, you can see CIG's a dick. I don't mean that in a negative way, but like they've been talking about this quote-unquote unannounced ship that they've been working on for the past few months, and now the final art has been done, or now we've done the interior. Like, they never said what it is, but given the leaks, like, we all know it's the 400i, but they've never said it's the 400i, so it's this weird fucking cat and mouse thing that they've been doing. So, I want to say, like, last month, we got an official teaser image. Again, not for the 400i, just for a name redacted ship. In which the image that we got was like something that was on one of the leaked images we had for the 400i. So it was very much like, wait, this is a 400i. But nobody said anything because we haven't had an official reaction or official release. And then today because we got notification that in the last monthly update, they said that the unannounced ship was now completed and they were just working on the extra paints. Today, we got an image that, for all intents and purposes, again, nobody's saying, well, nobody at CIG is saying this, but for all intents and purposes, it's finally a picture, a very cropped picture of the bridge of the 400i, which is awesome. Like, I've been waiting for the ship that was supposed to be straight to flyable since December of last year, and it's now September, and it should finally be coming out. And this is like the ship that is like my perfect, because I have, if this is the 400i, I will have 6 ships, but at least 3 of them are literally designed for hauling cargo. So the 400i will be my version of my flagship, my ship that I putter around in and fly around in and do all the stuff when I don't want to be hauling cargo around. But yeah, we finally got what we're all speculating, because nobody's saying anything, is a cropped image of the bridge of the 400i, because it's definitely an Origin style, and it doesn't match any of the existing Origin ships, and it does as much as it can, because they're dicks and they really cropped it, so that you can't really tell, but as much as we can tell, it matches the imagery we had of some of the leaks of the 400i. So hopefully my ship that I've been waiting on for 9 months now will finally be out in the next couple weeks, and I'll be excited. Yeah, that's what I rambled on about today. Nothing at all important, but there you go.